Hello, and welcome to my channel. This is Floyd Humphreys from floydhumphreys.com. Today, I want to ask a simple question. Is the act of being a socialist worse than committing murder? That sounds a little bit bold at first, but we do know that the United States Constitution was intended and written specifically to prevent the United States from ever becoming a democracy. We know that democracy is mob rule, and basically what it comes down to is two wolves and a sheep voting on what's for dinner. So that's why it's so incredibly important that the electoral college not be done away with. Otherwise, no matter what any of the other 48 states want, whatever California and New York decides would be mob rule. They would win just by votes, just by sheer numbers of people. So we know that that would be evil. E-V-I-L, pure Satanism. That's what that would be. Now, the Bible tells us a little bit about how evil socialism is, and one of the things that it tells early on is when Lucifer come with his incredibly evil plan of no child left behind. That was possibly the worst thing that God had ever heard in all of eternity. So despicable of an idea was that it was important to punish Lucifer, so he was denied the ability to get a body and go to earth and do the human thing. And basically that meant that his progression was damned. And so without a body, he's incredibly limited. Now, he does have a lot of powers, and even to this day, he still believes that he is correct. Now, that isn't the biggest thing, though, that happened from his dumbass idea of socialism, which has never had any benefits at all to anybody except the people who implement it, ever. And so God realized that socialism is a disease of the soul. It's a disease of the spirit. And the worst thing about it is there's no cure, ever. It's not possible to cure it. It's not even possible to cure it. Now, there are people on the earth, humans, that are just incredibly psychotic, deranged, unwittingly being incredibly stupid by being brainwashed and falling for the bullshit that's presented by CNN and ABC and NBC and CBS and MSNBC and that. And so that belief system can be cured by intelligence. You know, they can be educated and taught the truth. But somebody who actually believes in socialism in their core, that cannot be cured. Now, if it could have been cured, then God could have sent Lucifer to rehab and said, "You dumbass, nobody's ever been that stupid before in the history of all of the universes to ever come up with an idea that stupid. So you've got to go get educated, and you've got to learn the truth." But that isn't what God did. He didn't send Lucifer to rehab because there is no cure. And Lucifer will never change his mind because of that. So even to this day, the battle between good and evil rages on. And there's only two kinds of people on planet Earth. There's good and there's evil. That's it, period. And socialists are all evil. Now, the thing about it is because God knew that socialism was incurable, that it was a disease of the soul, that it was a disease of the spirit, that there was no cure ever, in no matter how many eternities of eternities, there's no cure, and so he couldn't send Lucifer to rehab. What he did do was remove his ability to repent. So Lucifer can never say, I'm sorry, that was the dumbest damn thing ever. I saw the light, and I've changed my mind. But because socialism cannot be cured, because it's a disease of the soul, and it's a defect in the spirit, it means though anybody that believes in socialism has a defective spirit. They're defective, and so they in the heavens will never be able to live with the people who are not defective. We all have defects, but our defects can be repented of or cured. But socialism can't be repented of or cured. And so by removing his ability to repent, what that really means is that there's no forgiveness, none, ever, for being a socialist. It can't be cured, and it can't be forgiven. Now, first-degree murder can be forgiven. Now, I'm not saying you will be forgiven if you murder somebody, but it's possible that if you murder somebody, the family members of that person that you murder may forgive you. They may find it in their heart to forgive you. And God may forgive you too. It's not likely, perhaps. Maybe it is, I don't know. But it is possible, that's for sure. It is possible to be forgiven for murder. But it is not possible to be forgiven for being a socialist. So the very act of socialism is pure evil. Pure E-V-I-L. Now, if somebody wants to force me to pay for their health insurance, that requires that the government commit a criminal act. They have to put a gun to my head and extort taxes from me unwillingly. It's a criminal act in order to pay, because I don't do it willingly. Why in the hell would I ever pay for anybody's medical expenses? That's their own damn problem, I mean, if they get cancer, they should have took CBD oil or something. It's not my fault they got cancer, and I don't need to pay for it, So the very act of socialism requires criminal activity in order to be implemented. And so the very nature of God is freedom, free agency, freedom of choice. And the very act of socialism is exactly the opposite. It binds people, and it forces them to pay for things they don't want to pay for, and that they have no business to pay for, and they have no responsibility to pay for, and they have no desire to pay for it. It's just stupid. Socialism is stupid, S-T-U-P-I-D, and so are all of the people who believe in it or want to practice it. It's evil, E-V-I-L. There's just no other way to say it. It's anti-Christ. It's devil-worshipping. It's anti-God. It's anti-freedom. So the fact is that murder might be forgivable, and socialism is absolutely 100% guaranteed not forgivable. It cannot be forgiven. So when God removed Lucifer's ability to repent, that was a done deal. And of course, the very fact that that's permanent is proven by the statement that there must needs be opposition in all things. In other words, the whole purpose of God is choice. And the only way that people can be happy is if they have choice. And how can there be a choice if there's not two opposing choices to make, good and evil? So socialism is evil, and you can choose or not choose, and that's choice, and God won't interfere in your ability to make that choice. If you could sum up the difference between Jesus and Lucifer in one word, it would be freedom. And so when you impose yourself on somebody else's freedom, like the government does on private property rights and tells a person what they can build or can't build or what they can do, that's an infringement of freedom. And so it just like the Second Amendment, the Second Amendment says the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. In other words, as long as the Constitution is the supreme law of the land, and today it is, then any rule, regulation, ordinances, or statutes that say otherwise are illegal. And so when a police officer or a politician swears to obey the Constitution and then go out and confiscate guns or support legislation that does so, they're actually criminal. They are traitors of this nation. They're actually traitors of this nation. And their intent is to destroy the nation. That's what traitors are. So, that's something to think about. If you don't believe in the Bible, that's too bad. It doesn't make it any less true. And if you don't believe in God, it doesn't make him any less real. So, go join a multi-level marketing company and make a lot of money, and quit your socialism practices if you have any. And I hope you have a great day.